I think in that way, it's a constant exchange. It's a constant conversation. And things evolve and grow. Sometimes ideas are good, sometimes ideas get thrown out, but the most important thing is the communication.
I have been to Beijing several times, and it's always left a strong impression on me. It's a magnificent city, well deserving of its status as a capital.
Because it is one that has endured over many decades now, and we want to build on it for the future. I think in China, because of the nature of Chinese audiences being very open, having a genuine appetite to explore art and culture, and not having necessarily the same context and background, and some people might even say baggage, cultural baggage. They can approach it fresh and new and simply respond to what they see and react accordingly. And then that becomes something that we can react to. And I think in that way, it's a constant exchange. It's a constant conversation. And things evolve and grow. Sometimes ideas are good, sometimes ideas get thrown out, but the most important thing is the communication and the willingness to exchange views. And I think as long as we're doing that sincerely, and we're doing it in the right spirit and with the right energy, then it's always worthwhile, because we're always growing, finding out more about ourselves and about each other. And that for me is so important in everything we do in contemporary culture.
Yes, of course. So I actually started off studying art history. I was interested in European art actually when I started this journey. But as I studied European art history, I became increasingly interested in Chinese art. I wanted to understand more about my own background, I suppose. It was partly a discovery of my own roots. Yes, actually, sometimes it's through opportunities. So when I finished my undergraduate degree, I continued in postgraduate degree wanting to study Chinese art history. And I ended up working with a professor who specializes in Chinese painting. But this opportunity arose to look after the Chinese painting prints and also Central Asian collections. And I'm continuing to learn from this experience.
My own particular interest would be probably Chinese traditional brush and ink paintings and calligraphy. I find it incredibly skillful and full of feeling and emotion. And even though I don't understand the calligraphy, I'm absolutely moved, and it takes my breath away. The technique and the scholarship that goes into underpinning that work is quite exceptional, and there's nothing really to compare with it. So my knowledge of Chinese culture, Chinese art, is not a deep one, but it is one that has grown over years, where I have a close affinity to certain artists that I feel I can relate to, the work of Qi Baixie, and others, contemporary artists such as Xu Bing, have a special place for me. In a small combination of brushstrokes that perfectly expresses the scene or the feeling or the emotion in a way that is indisputable, but it is refined to the nth degree of simplicity. That for me is one of the greatest skills in art, to simply express the essence of a thing. And that's what moves me so much often with Chinese art, but in particular with brush and ink painting. It's the simplicity, it's the technique, and doing something that looks very, very simple, but is actually the culmination, the result of a huge amount of practice and dedication and focus.
I've had the good fortune in my career to have worked on several major exhibitions and other projects. So one that very close to my heart and in a way called Ming 50 Years That Changed China is also an exhibition that has close connections with Beijing. We borrowed from many different museums around the world, including 10 museums in China. 3 of them were in Beijing. So this was the Palace Museum, the Capitol Museum, and also the China National Museum. So this is an exhibition that was quite unusual in that it focused on a 50-year period in China's history. And I think a lot of audiences was quite struck by just the sheer scale of that connection with the wider world already at this time. So it was a great opportunity to collaborate with our colleagues in China. And I also remember a particularly memorable occasion was bringing a group of reporters to go to Beijing to experience the city, some of them for the first time, visiting the museums, but also some of the other sites, perhaps slightly off the beaten track. For example, we visited the Zhihua Monastery. So that was a particularly special show in my career.
Before I went to Beijing, having known Shanghai very well over a long period of time, I thought the audiences would be very different. But in fact, the people and the energy and the spirit of the people are very similar. The sense of engagement, the willingness to experience new types of art, to be brave and adventurous, not to classify, but always open, actually is something that I've experienced in many Chinese cities across the whole of the nation. Something that was really remarkable for me, which I admire greatly about Chinese audiences, is that they're open to experiencing art, both in museums, in the normal, conventional way that we all visit museums and look at collections and explore our history through art, but also I think there is an appetite to experience art in public spaces as well. So I particularly like the fact that Chinese audiences can stumble across art in shopping malls, in a public sphere, outside of the museum, that art literally can spill outside of the walls of the museum into a public space and be encountered by a much wider variety of audience.
I have been to Beijing several times and it's always left a strong impression on me. It's a magnificent city, well deserving of its status as a capital. So I sincerely hope that there will be continued collaborations with colleagues in China and Beijing. And also I haven't been there in a number of years. The last time I was there was in 2019. So I very much look forward to an opportunity to visit and see the new developments that are happening there.
And certainly with the exhibitions that I've been involved with, they've been really well received, both in Shanghai, Beijing, and other cities throughout China, which is why we always feel a real responsibility to keep this cultural exchange moving, because it is one that has endured over many decades now, and we want to build on it for the future.